Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're having a look at another summer landing devblog, and this one is for the BMD-4. This is the main prize when it comes to the ground portion of the event, and you can get the BMD-4 at level 10, or at least unlock it with 10 stars when it comes to the summer landing event. It also isn't a premium vehicle, so you will get it stock, but it is a coupon, so you can sell it on the marketplace if you want to, meaning that you can make some Gaijin coin and then get something from the store, or maybe some other events, depending on what you want. But the BMD-4 is going to come in at rank 6 for the USSR. It's also going to be a light tank, so it should get access to scouting, which will be nice, and also it does have a pretty decent set of weaponry on top of it. Let's get into the history of this vehicle. In the 1990s, the USSR was looking to increase the combat effectiveness of its Soviet airborne combat vehicles, and they decided that they were going to create a new research set, which would be named the Baksha-U, and this was carried out by the Tula Instrument Design Bureau in the second half of the 90s. And as a result of the research, the Volgograd tractor plant presented an experimental BMD-4 combat vehicle with the Baksha-U module. This was put into service on the last day of 2004. So in December. An experimental batch of about 60 of these vehicles were delivered to the 137th Guard Paratrooper Regiment for testing, and compared to the BMD-3 that was already around, the new vehicle significantly surpassed it in terms of combat effectiveness and also technical characteristics. There was a lot of attention paid to the anti-tank armament of the machine, the 100mm cannon launcher, which could use obviously guided missiles, including missiles with a tandem warhead. And during the tests of the pilot batch, the manufacturer went bankrupt, unfortunately, and Kurgan Majavod continued work on the vehicle. And during the modernization program from this, there was an improved version of the IFV which was created, which entered service with the Russian army under the name the BMD-4M, which maybe we'll see in the future. But the BMDs are definitely vehicles which have been around for a long time, also being one of those vehicles which definitely is pretty integral to their airborne unit roles, and it's nice to see it finally in the game. So the BMD-4 fits the mold of a lot of other vehicles that we see at rank 6 for the USSR. You have stuff obviously like the BMP series with the BMP-2s, the BMP-3s, the BMP-2M as well. You got the Object 685 as well, which gives you something slightly different, but still a similar story. You have a very light vehicle with decent mobility, which has really good firepower, but not a ton else when it comes to the vehicle itself. This BMD-4 is insanely lightly armored. It's, designed to be. It's got to be dropped out of aircraft, for God's sake. And generally what that means is your mobility will be pretty good in the machine. You'll be able to canter about the place and have a pretty nice time. But at the same time, this thing will be able to be penned by even heavy machine guns because it has absolutely no armor. So the main issue I've had when playing stuff like BMP-3s and BMP-2s around the BR-87, which is where this thing will be, or even Object 685s, is the fact that you have two massive problems. The first one is AGMs exist, and as playing the Soviets, obviously the two other major nations, America and Germany, which you'll always see in all of your matches, have access to the A4Es, the A4Bs, and also the G91s, the R3s and the R4s. These all have really good AGMs, whether they're bullpups or whether they're Nords, and they overpressure you. What this means is they don't even have to land near you, and you die. They even reduced the impact of shockwaves of AGMs a while back to make it so, they're a lot less effective if they still miss you. Even if they still miss you, they still kill you nowadays. So you have only 3 crew in this thing, you've got literally no armor, so if you spawn this first, what's going to end up happening is after around about 4 or 5 minutes, there's going to be a G91 or an A4 in the air, and you're gonna die. I've been playing the Elephant Mark II, which is at 9.3 right now, so a little bit higher BR than this, but we've seen a lot of 10.3 to 9.3 matches, 10.0 to 9.0 matches. There's a ton of A4s, there's a ton of G91s, and I've also been running the VFM5 as a second spawn, and also a ZA35. The AGMs right now are rampant, they are disgusting, and they are something which really doesn't have a counter when it comes to specific nations, and at the BR of 8.7, the Soviets don't have a counter. The counter you pretty much have is getting in a plane. Good luck with that when you're getting missiled over and over and over again, even if you're in a light tank and have the airstrike module, so it's easier to get into a plane. So the BMD-4 has that major issue going for it, just like all the other Soviet light vehicles, and in my opinion it's the main reason why they keep getting lowered in BR over and over and over again. So I think this thing will come in at 8.7 and it'll have the same issues as the other ones. Hopefully that means it'll have a nice low repair cost so people can spade it easily. The other thing is its main weapon is an ATGM. Now, it's a very good ATGM on this machine, and it's also better than the BMP-3 because of its reload stats. This thing will have 4 different missiles available, so probably one at each rank of its modifications. You'll have the 9M117 with the armor penetration of 600 millimeters straight away. Then you'll have the tandem warhead 9M117M1, which pens up to 750 millimeters, which will be a really nice one. It will be able to go through a lot of targets, and also with the tandem warhead will mean that it can pass through stuff like ERA and also layers of composites. This is really nice for the vehicle. I'll tell you one problem with an ATGM. An ATGM in War Thunder is slower than a gun. And what I mean by this is an APFSDS round. After spading stuff like the Accra, after spading, which has a pretty fast missile, after trying to spade stuff like the BMP-3, which has pretty much the same missiles as this because it has the same gun in the form of the 100mm and also the coaxial 30mm, what ends up happening is you fire your ATGM because you have to expose your turret in order to fire it, and then they hear the ATGM coming, move their turret around, fire, and then move back, and then you miss because it's an ATGM and it takes a while to get there, and then you die. This is a common thing when it comes to ATGM launchers. It's a reason why, if you actually have been, looking at the BRs of ATGM launchers over the last little bit, a lot of them which were touted to be quite good, at least by Gaijin, so stuff like the Sturm S, the Chrysanthema, and they've all gone down in BR. The only ones that have stayed up are the ones which have multi-purpose, such as stuff like the Dardo and the M3A3 Bradley, which of course came into the game way low BR compared to where they should have been. So across the board, ATGM launches have been going down, apart from the IFEs, which have a multi-purpose, and the main issue is because you have to expose yourself to fire and you have no armor. So you get annihilated by that. Then artillery exists. If anybody sees you, they're just going to plonk artillery on your head and you're going to once again die from overpressure. So you're going to have to be really stealthy with this thing. You're going to have to play very much the passive scout role, which is quite hard to do when this thermal's knocking about. And you're going to have to pretty much just scout everything, wait for stuff to walk past, shoot it in the side with an ATGM. As I said, the nice thing about this is the ATGM does load very fast, around about 5 to 6 seconds, because it has an automatic loader on it. This thing will get very good thermals for the gunner, so that will at least be nice for it. There's a lot of stuff to like about this machine, but as somebody who's been playing around this BR for a long time with light vehicles, it generally isn't that fun to play. You are just worse than MBTs which are around, and also there are just so many threats to you which can come from pretty much every single other angle. We haven't even talked about helicopters yet. We haven't even talked about other IFVs and stuff which just do what you do but better. It's just it is how it is with these vehicles. It's they've got a lot of threats. You got to watch out for a lot of different things, but at least you have the scouting mechanics, so you should always be useful in battles, even if you can't play a very aggressive, proactive role. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank BRFC, Swollen Ostrich, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Conte Baraka, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Lafouche, Barine, and Samuel Schlick for supporting the channel.